What's up, YouTube? I want to talk about the Mini Cooper S R53 platform, and this video is focused on, I'm going to title it Acceleration Capabilities, something like that. So check my other videos on this channel if you're interested. I've got a lot of discussion on this wonderful car, and you can check that out in terms of information. But I'm going to specifically talk today just about acceleration and just do a couple point of view pulls. This is third gear, and I'll do some second gear pulls. So let me say a couple things out at the beginning. This video is sort of like the subjective experience of acceleration. You can have cars that have numbers that can, do 0 to 60 in this or that or whatever, but the feeling you have is it can vary between cars. You can have a car that's objectively slower, but subjectively feels faster and is more enjoyable. Of course, that's subject to opinion. But I've found this car, of the many cars I've owned, and again, check this channel, I've had a lot of little cool hot cars like this, and this is my favorite. And a lot of that is because of the way that the car delivers this visceral, raw experience in terms of handling and acceleration. So this particular car, it is, I am going to do some second gear, third gear pulls, and as I talk, and won't do a lot of first gear pulls. I might do one, but the roads are a little wet. My tires are getting old, and with the power I have with my modifications, I'm a bit traction limited. Even if I turn off stability control, it still struggles and spins the tires a bit. So just keeping that in mind. I will say it's a little cool this morning in Georgia. It's about 47, 48 degrees right now, and I've noticed that it's woken the car up just a little bit with the colder air temperatures, which is typical. I'll do a first gear pull. Not going to kill the car here, but just to give you an idea. Yeah, so tires are spinning, but second gear, we're at 60. So a couple ideas here. Let me start with mods, and again, I'm just going to do a few pulls for you. Modifications I have on this car. This is a 2006 Mini Cooper S, supercharged, has 18,000 miles. And my modifications are, I have an intake, I have an exhaust, I have a 17% pulley, I have a set of injectors, larger injectors, and I also have a tune. And then a modification that doesn't increase power, but it really helps with the response in terms of the way the throttle feels, is the roar pedal adapter. And I've got a video of that on my channel you can check out if you're interested. So that is my list of modifications. What does that do for the car? Well, do another second gear pull here. Let me just talk about horsepower and torque for a moment. And I actually wrote this down. I'll just show this here in case this helps you. So what I've got here is just 3 data points. We've got the Mini Cooper S is 6.9, 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds. It has 163 horsepower and 155 torque. That's what this car was from the factory. Then you've got the JCW, the John Cooper Works, which dropped that 0 to 60 down to 6.4. These are all numbers from Car and Driver, by the way. And then it's 200 horses and 177 torque. And then my car is basically, it's JCW plus. I've virtual dynoed it. I haven't literally, done a physical dyno. But what I'm getting, and this is from 20 years of, comparing this to cars that have the same modifications. This car is about 220, 225 horsepower. That's crank horsepower, not wheel. It's probably like 195 or 200 wheel. But we're talking about 225-ish crank horsepower. So comparing the numbers, 163 stock, 220 JCW, and this car with the mods I just mentioned is about 225. So the 0 to 60, 6.9 stock S, JCW 6.4. This car probably 6.0, maybe even high fives, like a 5.8, 5.9. It certainly feels that way. So that's just where we're at power-wise. This car is in very good condition, so it's, there's not a ton of leaks or, issues that would hurt performance, even though it is 20 years old. I'll do another second gear pull. I might lose traction here a little bit, but we'll just take a look. That's 60 miles an hour right there. So let me talk a little bit about the experience. Again, I said this is a subjective thing. I'm going to show, obviously, give you some POVs of the tachometer and the speedometer, but really also just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because you get the sounds, you get the numbers, but the feeling is really what this car is all about. So 0 to 60 in the high fives is what I'm thinking here. A rolling second gear. I've done several pulls like that for you. Pretty quick car. It's deceivingly quick, actually. So with the Supercharger, the wonderful thing, and this is why after owning dozens and dozens of cool cars, I've came back and bought a second one of these, and I think I'm going to keep it a while. The experience you get with Supercharger is it's very unique. It is belt driven, not exhaust driven like a turbo. So while the turbo has that sudden surge of power, especially if you have an old school turbo, the Supercharger is different. You get power. It's very linear in terms of like when the engine revs, the Supercharger revs. They're in tandem. And so because of that, the power, the feeling is very different really from any other car I've had. I've had V8s, I've had V6s, I've had 4 cylinders with VTEC and another second gear pull. See, in second gear, even that is traction limited. Again, deceivingly quick. It's really, having had this car now, this one for a year, I still am surprised at how quickly this car accelerates to 60 miles an hour into traffic. It's really deceivingly quick. There's not a ton of torque, but it's a very quick car. But as I said, it is belt driven, so you get the power with Supercharger is happening in tandem to the engine revs, which is a wonderful feeling. It's different from a 4-cylinder, which is typically, the power builds, especially if you have like a VTEC engine, and then we have that cam, that other cam that engages. You get power past 5,000, 6,000 RPM, which is a wonderful feeling. I've owned a bunch of VTEC cars. I've owned a bunch of old Hondas. I've owned the Toyota XRS Corolla with lift and modified, tuned. Great feeling having that up high torque and power that builds. But the Supercharger is different than that. You've got 4-cylinder turbos where you've got nothing down low, and then all of a sudden it kicks in at 2,500 or 3,000 RPM, and you get all this power surge, and then it usually drops off around 5,000 or 6,000 RPM. And then, with V6s and V8s, you've got power everywhere. But I have just discovered that the Supercharger experience, especially on this car tuned the way it is with these modifications, it's really unique. You have power everywhere in every gear, and it's a really wonderful feeling. And, I owned one of these back 4 or 5 years ago. I've told this story, I won't go into it, but, here, except briefly to say that I got it on a trade for $200, fixed it, sold it very quickly in a few months, and But the memory of it, I just, the years went on, I just thought, man, if I can ever get another supercharged car, there was something very unique about that is different from most of the faster cars I've owned, which again have been mostly small 4-cylinders, V6s, or 4-cylinder turbos. So there's a unique experience with the Supercharger that I'm kind of trying to convey here through these POVs and through my conversation, what I'm talking about. So that are some thoughts. Still achieving here 29.4 miles per gallon. 29.4. And that's with hooning it. If I don't hoon it, I can get 31, 32 miles per gallon average to a tank. But I've been doing a lot of fun fast driving like this morning because it's cool and the car's a little happier. Traction limited again, but it just pulls and pulls and pulls. My RPM, my rev limiter is moved up from the stock 68, I think, up to 72 with my tune. And then, again, another neat thing about the Supercharger experience is it just never drops off. As soon as that Supercharger engages, it's with you from 2,000 RPM all the way to red line. It never lets up. There is no, fall in the power. It's linear and it's constant. So it just keeps building. And it's, a lot of people have said this about Superchargers, that the exhaust pops, the Supercharger whine can be very addictive. And, as I've owned this car a year and daily driven it, I'm exploring why that is and why did I go back to this car and why do I love it so much. And I would put it back to that, the way the power delivers, in addition to the quirkiness, the cool, the knobs down here, all these neat features, the chrono pack, the way this car looks, it's the coolest looking car, the first gen Mini, and all the sounds, the heated seats, the uniqueness, the huge sunroof, all of that. But then you add to that this incredible raw visceral experience that just begs to be driven. So those are my thoughts on the just acceleration capabilities of the Mini Cooper S. This is a 2006 with modifications. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and appreciate you watching. Peace to you. God bless you.